gentlemen.
Uh-oh.
It's time for the Early Bird Special. Bringing you the best stories from the world of sports and sports entertainment. Now, here are your hosts, Sparky and Burdick.
This is probably one of the best walkout songs. But I'm also into pirates, so that's why. Welcome back to the Early Bird Special. 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield. And it's time to welcome back the voice of the Las Vegas Raiders to talk all things Raider football. That is Jason Horowitz. Sir, how are you?
Did you say you're not a pirate?
No. I said I'm a fan of pirates. Like the Pirates of the Caribbean movies are some of my favorite Disney movies.
Well, either way, I mean, it's good to know you're not a pirate.
No, I am not a pirate.
Yeah.
That's absolutely.
I mean,
he's a Phillies guy.
Do you think there are still like active pirates? Like, do we think? And I don't mean like Steve the Pirate from Dodgeball the movie, but like.
I mean.
I forgot all about that.
What was that Captain Phillips movie? Wasn't that based in a true story? Those guys are pirates, aren't they?
Yeah,
it still counts.
Yeah, that was there's definitely pirates.
Yeah, I'm not talking Jack Sparrow.
And Australia. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, they just look a little different now, Jay. That's all it is. They just look a little different. We've all adapted since those days.
You know, my daughter was with me at Gillette. I think I told you guys that. My oldest of three was with me last week at Gillette Stadium, and they just started 7th grade. She's 11, going on 12, and the Patriots have a lot of probably gentlemen in their 50s and 60s who dress like Revolutionary War soldiers, characters, and they were in the pilgrimage type hats, and they've got the muskets, and she says to my father, who's a older gentleman, and says to Jim, why are they dressed like that? He gave her a whole history lesson of the Revolutionary War in
that's awesome.
1770s. It was great.
She's prepped and ready to go.
What was even better is the Raiders pulled out the win, beating the Patriots last week. Was there Geno looked good. I mean, the defense looked even better. I mean, how was it? I mean, you were just saying you were at Gillette Stadium last week?
Yeah, I mean, Geno looked good in the first drive and then the second half, and then and the defense, the defense made some key stops, but they were drastically different in the second half than they were in the first half. So credit Patrick Graham and the adjustments, and I know Pete Carroll talked about that this week. Geno Smith was awesome and on point, you guys. The first drive and then really up until that tip ball interception, it looked like we had a future Hall of Famer on our hands, right? Mm-hmm. And then the second half, but you got to give him a lot of credit. Even without Brock Bowers in the fourth quarter, Geno was 13 of 15 for 222 in the second half. I mean, that is electric, and that is without the ability to run the football at all.
Right.
And that's just how good he was. And, I really think the turning point of the ball game was Max Crosby getting a hit on Drake May, which caused the overthrow and the interception by Isaiah Polamau, and that turned the whole game around.
I agree with you. Now, real quick, since you mentioned him already, what is the issue with Brock Bowers? Will he be playing this Monday?
Didn't practice yesterday. A sleeve on his leg. He was in with that. I don't know. He came out of the tent during the game, and he didn't look like he was limping, but there's no excess extent on it. So I don't have an update on whether or not Brock Bowers will be playing, and I don't want to guess.
That's a very valid point. What's the vibe around the locker room right now? Pete Carroll being the oldest winning head coach in the NFL, is that something they're kind of excited about and riding with?
Well, he's not just the oldest winning coach in the NFL. I mean, Sunday he became the oldest coach in the NFL, period. Right. And Romeo Crennel was also that age, but a couple of months younger, whatever it was, a few years ago. But Pete Carroll's birthday is Monday, guys. So he turned 74 on Monday Night Football.
See, I feel even better with my pick now.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'll be curious to see what type of celebration there is pregame, and especially if there's a win involved.
I mean, what's awesome is, going into the beginning of the season, everyone was, this is the Chiefs division, but now everyone is, jumping on the Denver Broncos. And, after this week, the Patriots are going into a big game against the Eagles. They could be 0-2, and we both picked the Raiders to, beat the Chargers on Monday. Yeah. I mean, you think that will start, picking up the momentum in the media world, at least, with maybe people keeping an eye on the Raiders this year?
Well, Well, just by nature of the fact that it's Monday night, right? And obviously in Bakersfield and on the West Coast it's 7:00. But this game on the East Coast in Central Time Zone will end after 95% of people are in bed.
Oh,
yeah.
So, but the following day, because the way that the news cycle works, Tuesday you got 2 games to talk about. But no matter what happens in the Tampa-Houston game, if the Raiders beat the Chargers and are 2-0, and to your point, if the other things happen where the Broncos lose to the Colts and the the Chiefs lose at home to the Eagles, which could happen, the Raiders would be in first place all by themselves. So there's no question that if the Raiders win Tuesday and Wednesday, they are going to be a major talking point. Plus, then they'd be going to Washington where people are concerned about the Commanders because they just played a primetime game themselves and look pretty pedestrian. And if the Raiders are walking in there 2-0 off of a Monday night win, it's going to be one of the biggest games next Sunday. So there's no question that if the Raiders win, they are going to be a huge talking point all next week.
What do you think is the key to pull off this win on Monday? We saw a really high-powered offense in LA, out in Brazil, mind you, and to be honest, maybe the Chiefs just didn't have their best day in week 1. But what do you think is going to be the key for the Raiders to pull this off?
So it's weird how this has worked out. This is my 4th year with Raiders, and it'll be the 7th game against the Chargers. It's weird how in the first game, and keep in mind, each of the previous 3 years, the first game has been at SoFi, not Allegiant. But the first game, the Raiders have lost all 3 of those, and they have completely failed to protect whatever quarterback is there. It was Derek Carr the first time. It was Aiden O'Connell's first start the second time. And last year it was, Gardner Minshew. So the ability to protect Geno Smith is going to just be massive. He took 4 sacks the other day, and 3 of them were in the first half, I believe. Harold Landry, they could not stop. And, Khalil Mack did not do anything really against the Chiefs. But in the last 3 years, in the opener, the first of the 2 meetings, he had 3 sacks, 6 sacks, and 1.5 sacks. So, that's 10.5 sacks in 3 games in the first of 2 meetings each year that they've got to figure out. And so they will have to protect Geno Smith better. The obvious other answer, guys, is they have to figure out how to run block. And Chip Kelly is a very, very solid innovator when it comes to running the football. I've got to assume that this is going to get better. And the Chargers are a tough team to run against. So I don't know that this is the all-tell sign about whether it is or it isn't. But they are going to have to be open the hole so that at least there's a threat of running the football.
Oh, 100%. And that kind of leads me to my final question to you, since you were there and watched it. Ashton Genty's first full game in the NFL. What did you think of it? I know obviously there were struggles to get him some open lanes to run through. He was able to score at least for one. But what were your thoughts on the game in general?
Well, I mean, the touchdown is pretty quintessential Ashton, right?
100%.
And I know we all visualize, Ashton Genty in college, and we picture a 70-yard run. But the way he scored, he was bottled up, and he just kind of squirted out of the pile and then came free. And that's kind of what he does. So that's pretty awesome. The first 3 runs, he had 3 carries for 22 yards, and wow, look what they're going to do. And then his next 16 carries were for 16 yards.
Right.
Now, some of that was the last 7 minutes of the game where they're just trying to ice the clock, and the Patriots knew they were going to run, and it is what it is. But I think he missed a couple of holes. There was definitely a play where it was a 3rd and 1, and they wanted to make sure they got the first, and he got 3 or 4 yards, but there was a hole if he cut back, he would have been gone. So I think he's going to have to see it. Kirk Morrison during the broadcast mentioned that. He's going to slow it down, and he'll see those holes, and then he's going to get back to looking like what Ashton looks like. And so that'll be great when that happens. And I got to believe that they're going to run the ball better. They were, 55 yards last week, 56 yards, and that was Geno on a scramble. So I think they will figure that part out. So the glimpses are there, but you want to see Ashton become what everyone thinks he's going to become, and it's going to take a better offensive line day.
100%. I was just kind of curious what your thoughts were. I was somewhat impressed from what you could see, because I feel like Amari and Hampton kind of had a similar night. It wasn't like anything to really shake your finger at or anything, but it wasn't crazy great either. You still saw some light in there, though. Some
explosive,
explosive signs.
The crazy, but the difference is though, like the Raiders last year had nothing when it came to giving you hope about the running game,
right?
And the Chargers were a different story with old guys, right? J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards, and like they had, although Gus had a lot of injuries last year, but they had the ability to run the football because that's what they were doing, and their offensive line has Pro Bowlers on it, and Colton Miller I think played well, but the right side of the offensive line last week struggled.
Right.
So I think that's the difference, is that Ashton is the hope. The Chargers, you just assume can run because it's what Jim Harbaugh and that group's going to want to do and has always done.
Right. I mean, do you kind of come in with the same mindset, though, with Chip Kelly? I mean, obviously his offenses have been somewhat similar to that.
Yes, I do. But Chip Kelly with the Eagles, LaShawn McCoy, I think had a 1,700-yard season and another 1,300-yard season. So you had a Pro Bowl solid NFL running back who was one of the top 5 or 6 at his time in that time. Plus you had some, I don't remember what his offensive line looked like, but I'm going to assume there were some really good players on that team. Right. So, yes, I assume Chip Kelly will figure it out. But if not, but either way, you credit Chip Kelly and Geno Smith for putting together what they had last week. And, 9 pass plays of 20 yards or more, that's going to win a lot of football games, guys.
Oh, 100%. Against a tough defense, too, that the Patriots have. It's a good sign going forward. I agree with you.
We're definitely excited. The Early Bird Special on ESPN Bakersfield will be out there in Las Vegas for the Raiders game, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to you next week, and we'll talk about the 2-0 Raiders by then.
Yeah, well, if so, it'll be the first time since 21, so... but what would be more fun is if we're talking about the 2-0 Raiders who are in first place in the division.
100%.
Exactly.
Because, you're at that point, you're 12% of the season through. So, I mean, think about how big that is.
I mean, until they start stretching this out to a 20-week season, then we're going to be in trouble.
Oh, no.
Oh, good Lord.
But we appreciate your time, Jason. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Have a safe trip to Vegas.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. We got to take a break real quick, pay some bills. This is the Early Bird Special on 101.1 FM, 1230 AM, ESPN Bakersfield.